Well, one of the problems that we face today in the church is that our definition of worship is often far too narrow. Now, we all have opinions in church about worship music, but this should not consume our energy and it should not be our focus. We shouldn't make it an issue because the New Testament does not make it an issue. But we often place too much emphasis on singing and music as our, simple definition for worship. At least we often think about it that way. The big idea for the message today is this: worship isn't merely what you sing, it's how you live. Our main scripture for this weekend, Psalm 30, it really gives us a much better definition of worship. Psalm 30 is a praise psalm. It begins with praise and it ends with praise. And throughout Psalm 30, David writes about how we are to worship the Lord in every arena of our lives. So the big question then becomes this: what does David's near-death sickness and recovery teach us about worship? The first thing it teaches us is this: worship because you've been delivered. The Lord faithfully delivered David from a terrible sickness from which he almost died. David acknowledges that God is the one who has delivered him from the brink of death. And likewise, let us begin to recognize all the things that God has delivered us from. Secondly, we are to worship amid God's discipline. We find that the difficulty that David had experienced was actually sent by God to correct David's arrogance, pride, and self-reliance. David, you see, started trusting in his wealth and his prosperity instead of trusting in God. So the Lord sent this difficulty in order to teach David to trust in the Lord. I can't answer why you may be experiencing the difficulty that you are currently experiencing. I can't answer that. But how might God use that difficulty to help you grow in faith? And lastly, number 3, worship with your dedication. At the end of the psalm, David commits to worship the Lord with all that he is and all that he has. Church, that is worship. We worship him because we've been delivered. We worship amid God's discipline and the difficulty we're experiencing. And we worship by dedicating all that we are and all that we have to be used for his glory. You can check out the full message at connectbillings.com/watch.